Good afternoon, good morning, and good evening, depending on where you're joining us from, and welcome to the latest installment of the Global Stewardship Group webinar series. And thank you for joining us. I'm David Knowles, Membership and Outreach Manager for GSG. Today, we are discussing Stewardship Best Practices, GSG's new academic e-learning program, which is the result of more than a year of collaboration between GSG staff, our member organizations, and the academic community. We have three presenters today. Chris Holdgreave, CEO of GSG, will give us an overview of the program. Priscilla Vincent, Program and Operations Manager for GSG, will give us the details of the program, including the curriculum and how to sign up. And Scott Mundell, Senior Manager, Global Biological Permitting and Compliance for Corteva Agriscience, and also serves as GSG Board Chairman, will give us his perspective on how this program benefits member organizations. This webinar is being recorded and will be made available to our members. At any time, you may submit questions in the chat and we will answer them at the end. So with that, I will turn it over to Chris Holdgreave to get us started.
Sounds good. Thanks, David. So just as David already outlined, these are the topics we'll cover as part of the agenda. I'll give you the big picture. Priscilla will get into the details, and then Scott will give you the perspective from a member organization. So just to start out, I wanted to have a little time at the beginning of this to kind of talk about it from a sort of high-level perspective on what we're trying to accomplish, not only with this program that Priscilla is going to talk to you in more detail about, but just overall our vision and mission relative to the organization, but also specifically to basically what we're calling GSG learning. So how do we take what the mission of the organization has been for many years and continue to build upon that, continue to make improvements. And so as you'll see in the slide, our vision has always been to be the premier organization for programs and resources that support stewardship, quality management systems and verification in the agricultural technology industry. And I believe we've done a very good job of that over the last 15 years or so that we've been in existence. But really, we saw an opportunity to improve and create a better vision for the organization as we move forward. And that's to take advantage of some of the new platforms on which learning can take place. So we really wanted to leverage a lot of the information that we have and put it into sort of those new formats, those new platforms, to give learners a new opportunity to get information about stewardship, some very specific topics that will be covered as part of this Best Stewardship Practices course, some general knowledge relative to stewardship and best practices, but also we plan to build this library of knowledge over time and expand those courses to really meet the needs, not only of our members, but of the broader industry. So looking at academics and others around the world that may have an interest in stewardship as well. So this fits in well with the mission of the organization, which is basically to promote and advance the understanding and importance of good stewardship practices. So that's really what we're doing with this whole idea of GSG learning. And so the GSG learning and really what you'll see with this Best Stewardship Practices course is some key perspectives as we move forward. So you can go to the next slide. So this is what we've tried to capitalize on relative to how we're building this platform, and then we'll be using it moving forward. So we want to do something that's flexible. So online learning is a very flexible platform. We know that people come from very diverse backgrounds. We've got members from all over the world, representing more than 30 countries and 6 continents, multiple languages, and some that are just beginning on their stewardship journey or their journey within agricultural technology, and some that have a lot of experience with it. So recognizing all these kind of diverse backgrounds, we wanted to make sure that we built some learning programs that would be able to be delivered to them in a manner that they could take it at any time. So the bulk of this will be done online. And so it will be mostly through an e-learning process where students, interns, professionals, and others can engage with the coursework at their own pace and really balance that with their, whatever else they happen to be doing relative to their academic careers or professional careers. But we'll also include a number of opportunities for a blended environment. So what we mean by that is we'll have the e-learning course that you can take at your own pace, but we'll also have additional opportunities for workshops that might include a virtual but live in-person or virtual session where a number of people are involved and we can have discussions, go through case studies, answer questions, those types of things. So we will be building that portion of this as well as we move forward. So there'll be a great online e-learning part of this, and it will be blended with those other opportunities to actually talk with real professionals in the field. Key to this is certainly that it has an accreditation. The program will be accredited through a company called Accredible. So once the course has been taken, you will be able to take the quizzes associated with that course and get credit for completing that coursework. So we intend to have that for all the different courses that will be made available so that you can share those types of things with employers, potential employers on LinkedIn, on resumes, those types of things. Our faculty really comprises key industry experts across the stewardship spectrum. And also we've included university perspectives to get their sort of teaching professional knowledge involved in the development of these, just to ensure that you really receive top-tier instruction and insights based on actual real-world experiences. So it's not just theory. We do talk about sort of general what is stewardship, but then we really get into and spend a lot of time talking about how it works in practice. And it'll be interactive learning modules, as I noted, including case studies. There'll be collaborative projects, which will be part of the later courses in the series. But the intention is really to equip participants with basically the basic practical skills and knowledge to implement stewardship practices in their academic and professional journeys. So getting into how we're going to unveil this for ETS and PBI members, so those that are involved in GSG. So that goes to what we're calling the GSG learning package. So this will be available, and that's on the next slide, for members to add on to their annual fee for participation in either of the programs that they participate in. And with that will come a number of learning licenses. So you can add this GSG learning add-on to your package of whether it's ETS, whether it's plant-breeding innovations, or both, and be able to add this to your annual dues contribution. Basically, it will set you up with a number of licenses that you'll be able to utilize for staff or others to be able to take these key courses that we'll have developed. We have currently auditor training online. We have the course that Priscilla is going to be talking about, and we're going to be adding courses pretty regularly over the next several years as we continue to develop these. But this is a great opportunity for organizations that are part of GSG, regardless of which program you're involved in, to be able to get these licenses at a cost rate for us. So we're just charging the cost that it takes us to be able to deliver these programs to you. So we're going to be reaching out to all members of the GSG once we get towards the end of the year, once we confirm again that you're continuing to participate in the program, and give you this opportunity to add on this additional GSG learning package as a great opportunity to really take your training to another level for this stewardship specific activities. So we're very excited to be able to announce this. You'll be able to, again, as an organization, participate in this program coming in 2025. Priscilla will talk about sort of the other ways that you can take courses, whether it's through individual signups. We're giving it away free to the academic community. So all this sort of pays for that opportunity. But this is a great option for ETS and PBI members. There's a second opportunity also for ETS and PBI members, and that's to sponsor the program. So Priscilla's going to talk to you in detail about the best stewardship practices, which is a 3-course learning series, which will be the hallmark of the GSG learning package. And really what we're giving companies the opportunity to do is sponsor that. Again, because we're giving it away to academic community for free, in order to do that, we need to gain sponsors. So what we've done is develop kind of a sponsorship package, which gives you different opportunities to participate in the development of this program and be able to get your company's name any information that you think is important in front of a number of people that will be taking coursework in agricultural developer technologies, plant breeding, all those different types of things. We're going to be giving them the stewardship knowledge, and this will be an opportunity to get in front of those types of people. So we're basically putting it in 3 levels: silver, gold, platinum memberships, which gives you increasingly amount of benefits, as well as discounts on that GSG learning package. So what I'll say, I'll wrap this up just by noting that we're going to put all of this on our GSG learning website, the Best Stewardship Practices website, which can be found at www.gsg.ag. And then you go down to programs, and it's Best Stewardship Programs. All this information this week will be available to you to be able to kind of go through this and decide what might be interest to your organization. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Priscilla to talk in more detail. So as David noted, she's our program and operations manager. She's also our resident storm expert. As a resident of Tampa, Florida, she has recently been through multiple exciting weather events, and we're just very glad that she and her family are all right, and she's able to join us today, even though it's not from her home base. She had to escape that for now, but we're very excited to have her safe and sound, but also be able to talk to you about this great new program that we've developed. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to you, Priscilla.
Thank you, Chris, and thank you for this presentation. So I'm very excited to discuss this program and this course with you. Some of those who have contributed to this program and the development of this course are here, so I want to recognize them. Thank you so much for being here. Very excited to be here because, again, I'm very passionate about it, but Hurricane Milton almost spoiled the webinar, and I was really nervous until very late last night if I was going to be able to make it. So very happy to be here. I'll introduce you a little bit of the course, its target, its benefit, its logistics. We'll go over the curriculum, and we'll talk about the next offerings as well. As Chris mentioned, it's the GSG newest and most innovative program. It truly is the first of its kind by its nature. It's a learning program. By its delivery, it's delivered online on an e-learning platform that is called CoAssemble. And its target, the audience of this program is wide and diverse. You may be a student, an intern, corporate employee, auditor, or just interested in agricultural stewardship, and you may very well benefit from this program and this course specifically. The main benefit is that learners access the content anytime, anywhere at their convenience. This is bite-sized knowledge, so this is highly digestible. It's learning that you can access 20 minutes a day or an hour, or you can do the 3 hours if you'd like to, which is the estimated completion of the course. But truly, it caters to anyone's schedule. So this is a main benefit of why we're doing this that way. And the first program offering and the course that I'm going to discuss with you is the Best Stewardship Practices Fundamental 101 course. So it's the first in a 3-part series, and it provides a general overview of the subject, really preparing learners to study it further in the next courses of the series that we will be discussing. It's an introduction to the concept of stewardship. What is it? How to apply it? How do you implement it? How to implement best practices throughout the plant product life cycle and its daily associated operations. Through basics of quality management system. Again, I'll discuss that a little further, but we discuss how stewardship and responsible management is drilled down in the quality management system of an organization. And we also go over how to adopt a stewardship mindset. I don't know about you, but when I started this job and this career, I did not know about stewardship other than something my dad had told me when I was maybe 6, 7, 8 years, I don't remember, but I was very young, and how to be a good steward in life. So how to ensure that if you see a blind person crossing the street, you have to help them, how to look left, right, and left. For me, that was what it meant. So we go a little bit beyond in this course and not only talk about stewardship in the professional field, but also in your daily life, how to apply it and what it means to be a good steward and apply stewardship and have this stewardship mindset. Again, it targets anyone that is interested in agricultural stewardship, and that can truly be a student, a corporate employee, could be a professor, an auditor, truly anyone. So this is the main benefit. The audience is truly diverse. Chris mentioned it, I believe. Students and academic will have this course free of charge. The true benefit for students is that it might not be thoroughly covered in their course of studies. Again, stewardship is typically something you learn on the field. Here we're giving them the advantage to prepare for their careers and know about responsible management firsthand so that they are ready to tackle their careers and also know what career you can have with stewardship and what it is. Member organizations again have it as an add-on to the program membership, whether they are an ETS member, PBI member, or both. And for others, you may register separately, and I will discuss how to do it and a little bit about the logistics. So we're going to dive into the course curriculum, which again, some of you that are here today have helped develop, so thank you again. It is divided into 3 sections. So first section, we have the core curriculum. We start with the stewardship mindset. So again, we go a little bit beyond what it is just in the professional field. We talk again after agricultural biotechnology stewardship and how it is implemented through the plant product life cycle. Here, what it means is that in each plant product life cycle phase, we describe the activities that entail to that phase, but we also describe how stewardship is implemented in each respective phase, as well as across the whole plant product life cycle. Then we discuss the practical application of stewardship through quality management system principle. We give a general overview of what QMS is. Also, we talk about the PDCA cycle, which is universal. Any organization of any size, any target, any scope have to adhere to the plan, do, check, act cycle in quality management system. And then we talk about the Maslow pyramid of quality management system. So imagine the Maslow pyramid, which starts with the policy, and then you have procedures, work instructions, and then records. We explain how stewardship is drilled down through the pyramid and how it is implemented in your records, how it relates to your work instructions, your training, your documents. So we go over that. We have a business case, which most of you may know about. It's the transgenic orange petunia. 1987, it was supposed to be kept in a university as research. However, 30 years later, a Finnish plant biologist found those transgenic orange petunia absolutely randomly in a train station in Helsinki, I believe, and realized they were transgenic, which made the headlines because a lot of the flowers had to be destroyed by nurseries, breeders, and etc. In this business case, which is interesting, is that we mention if responsible management had been implemented, how would it have looked like? What would have happened? So we give really a perspective of how stewardship is really important, which is the question that we answer in this course: why is stewardship so important? Not only what it is, but why do we actually need it? After that, we go into the legal and regulatory consideration. So here we talk about the legal provisions that exist at every level, which is regional, national, international, subnational. And we also discuss the asynchronous nature of the field, but also of the legislations and the regulations. So we have, for example, we have 4 thumbnails, and we decided about 4 countries, which are countries/regions. We have China, European Union, Mexico, and Canada. And we discussed the differences in approvals for plant biotechnology, which is a good way, again, to reflect how stewardship is so important and how responsible management facilitate all of this. But we ensure to talk about how stewardship is not replacing the laws and the legislations, it supplements them. So we talk about the recommendative nature of stewardship. Again, we're not prescriptive, so we know that in our programs, but we wanted to make sure we touch base on that in the course as well. And then we finish the core curriculum with incident response fundamentals. So we go over the planning, we go over the process. What is it to have a strategy for incident response management? How to develop a team. We talk a little bit about preventative measure, critical control points, corrective measures, and then we discuss the tool that is a key component to incident response management, which is a root cause analysis. We describe an example that is fairly easy to understand with the 5 whys. So everyone know the 5 whys of incident response management through the root cause analysis. After that, we wrap this up with a business case, which is fictional business case. The person that developed it is very creative, and we're very happy with it now. It's the story of the Swedish Brussels sprouts that are a transgenic variety of Brussels sprouts. They are mixed with conventional Brussels sprout in a warehouse, so it's a logistical mishap. Thankfully, before they got shipped to Canada, which they did not have the approval to be commercialized there and be shipped there, the employees had noticed, and so we really go over the business case as the whole process. What happened? What could have happened if stewardship was in place, and how it was prevented? But now, what do we do when we have an incident like this? So we have a lot of quality management system components, incident response management, and then we apply the preventive measures and the corrective measures to avoid an incident like this in the future. Again, it's an hypothetical incident. If you think about it, it could happen. But we wanted to make sure we reflect the importance of stewardship through this business case with a fictitious example. The conclusion of this course, so we talk about now you have the knowledge of stewardship, you know a little bit more. This is a general overview again, but if you're interested, what can you do with it? Truly, what careers are in each plant product life cycle. So we describe a few careers that you can have with them, as well as we provide 3 interviews. So we have an auditor, a third-party auditor that was interviewed. We have a stewardship chain manager that was interviewed, and an R&D compliance lead that was interviewed as well. So we asked them what they like in their daily roles and responsibility. What is a typical day in the career? How did they get there? How did they learn about stewardship? And also, what do they think about the industry, and why is responsible management so important as a knowledge, but also as a practical application in their roles? Again, it's divided into 3 parts. The question that we answer in this course is, why is stewardship so important? It is a general overview that will be followed by a 201 and a 301 in the series. So the next after the fundamentals is the best stewardship practices intermediate 201. Here we'll really go into a deep dive into the concepts that were covered in the fundamentals. So we're going much more in depth in the theory of all of the concepts. So you will see all of the same concept and some more. However, it will be a true deep dive and will submerge into the concept. Then we will have the best stewardship practices advanced 301, and here we'll have a practical application of all of the concept covered in the fundamentals, in the intermediate as well. The way I see it is I envision for learners to have to develop a stewardship, a responsible management strategy plan. Obviously, we will assist them in doing that in the online platform, but this will really be the comprehensive series and the culprit of the advanced skills that you need to apply responsible management. So 3 courses, it's a 3-course series for the program. Chris mentioned it, but I want to go a little bit over the accreditation. So all of the courses will be accredited independently and as a whole as well. The accreditation is a verifiable accredited certification, and it's a tiered series, which means that when you go and you complete the fundamentals, you will have a fundamental certificate accompanied by a yellow badge, which means that you have completed the fundamentals course. The fundamentals course then is a prerequisite to take the intermediate course, which will give you an intermediate certificate accredited as well. And it will give you a green badge to say that you have done the fundamentals as well as the intermediate. After that, you will get to the advanced, which will give you the advanced certificate accredited as well, but with a black badge. So for those familiar with Six Sigma, it's a little bit the same system, but again, as a tiered series. So the fundamentals is a prerequisite to the intermediate, and those two are prerequisite to the advanced. And then you have the comprehensive series that you're certified for. That means you can share it on LinkedIn, you can notate it on your resume, and that will be an added value for you in the field. As a student that is going to start their careers in 1, 2, 3, 5 years, this is an added value that they have on their resume and their certificate. As a stewardship professional, it's a badge that you have as well that you can share, that gives you the contribution to a community. Let's talk about the timeline and the implementation. So the course has been developed and finalized by the Global Stewardship Group and very passionate individuals of the academic and e-learning committees. So the content is now developed. In November, we want to make sure that the user experience is excellent. So we're going to do the final user experience enhancement while taking sign up and registrations, which means that if you follow the link, I'll show you the link. Yes. If you follow the link that is in blue at the bottom of the page, you may be able to register. And then we have a spreadsheet that we keep where we have everyone that's interested. So we'll be able to provide you all the information and documentation about the course when it's available, which, little spoiler here, it will be available January 1st, 2025, but we'll give you all of the updates that you need to be able to indeed take this course. So again, available January 1st, 2025. And if you click that link and you want to know more, please feel free. We keep track of everything and we will ensure that you'll have everything you need to be able to take this course. Trying to change my slide. Here we go. So here I wanted to give you just a quick sneak peek. Again, it's on an online platform, so there is a lot of interactivity, lots of gamification, images, visuals. It's also voiced professionally. So we had 2 e-learning professionals that voiced the course. And this sound, maybe I am subjective, but this sounds very good. So here's a little bit of a sneak peek of the course. Again, a lot of interactivity, gamification, visuals, a diversification truly of resources. There are some assessments throughout the course, so it is not just one exam at the end of the course that is of, 100 questions. It's little assessments in between sections because, again, it's bite-sized knowledge. So we want to make sure that you assess the knowledge and that you can retain it, but we want to make sure that you retain it when it's time to retain it. So again, you have about 2 to 5 questions in between sections. It's not in each section, but you have some questions to assess your knowledge, and they're not meant to be punishing, but again, they're just meant to know that you assess the knowledge and you're benefiting of the certificate that you get at the end. So I'm going to ask you to stay tuned. We will on our end send information via email, newsletter, or LinkedIn, or blog, or website. So you will know more about it as we go. Again, if you want to click, and Chris, I think you mentioned, so you can either go through the GSG website, look at our programs, and click on the stewardship best practices, get to this link. Or we also have the direct link that was in the past two slides that you can click on to get more information.
Yeah, and Priscilla, I did put that link in the chat so people can see that stewardshipbestpractices.org.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, sorry, I'm working on one screen, so I can't see any of you, but thank you so much for that, and I can't see the chat either. All right, with no further notice, I will pass it on to Scott that will give the company perspective. Thank you so much for listening to me again. I was very excited to share about this program and this course. Thank you.
Thanks, Priscilla. I really appreciate it. I want to start by just offering a huge thank you. Hopefully, you can see with the little preview that we're giving you today that I think what we've developed is really fundamental, right? It starts at a very basic level and builds. And hopefully that gives people, and we'll talk about who the audience is maybe here in a minute, but hopefully it gives people a really a good value proposition. I specifically, though, want to call out a thank you because there's been so much work that has gone into this. A huge thank you to those people at our member organizations who have contributed to this. It has been several, and they have put a lot of work into it. And then also, and especially to Priscilla. I think in this presentation, you can see her passion for this, and it's been fantastic to watch. I think you're going to see a very professional piece of training when this all comes out and is launched. So when we think about this from a members, trade developers perspective, I think one of the huge benefits is education and training tool, obviously, but for future employees. And again, we've touched on that as we go through this. But to my knowledge, at least in the US, I'm not aware of any courses that really go into the concepts of stewardship and why is stewardship important, especially in the agriculture field and in agricultural innovation. So being able to create an educational tool for future employees, I think is really, really important. I think then also enablement of an innovation, right? At the end of the day, what is GSG here to provide for our industry? And that's enablement, tools, a structure, enablement of innovation to be able to offer that to growers and to the value chain to consumers all over the world. So I think when we launch and we provide tools and information on how to responsibly manage that innovation, we're enabling the entire industry and protecting the reputation of our technologies to consumers and the entire value chain, right? I think we've all learned through some historical events, some of which will be touched on in this training, and some of which will just be hypothetical scenarios of unpleasant things that can happen when all of the right steps and all of the right things to think about aren't necessarily followed, right? I think all research organizations, regardless of the size, whether it's a multinational like Corteva, or it may be a university who's doing fundamental science in the space. We all have a shared responsibility to manage plant biotechnology, whether that be gene edits that would be part of the Plant Breeding Innovation Management Program, or transgenics, as is covered by ETS. I think many of us, and I'm probably preaching to the choir, that given the audience I'm speaking to today, right? But I think we all believe in a shared responsibility in, again, bringing technology, bringing innovation to the marketplace, or again, even to basic science, doing that in a responsible way, because a small incident could have a negative impact on perception at the consumer level. I think it's one of the reasons we also gravitated toward that petunia example, is because it is something that, and again, nothing catastrophic happened there, right, in the grand scheme of things, but it is something that a university did a minor, it would appear, a minor mismanagement of, keeping track of things. And then that ultimately resulted in some real impacts on some businesses, right? You had greenhouses and you had retailers in the United States, I know of at least, that had to do product recalls. That's never fun. Uh, and again, also, I think when we think about enabling technology sharing, so what I'm really talking about when I say technology sharing is licensing, right? Uh, I know Corteva, and I suspect many of your organizations are licensing technology to others in the industry or to universities, people up and down the value chain, or are in licensing those technologies, whether you're a technology out licensor or in licensor. I think this provides a way to provide education, knowledge, and learning for those folks, right? Maybe you're out licensing technology to uh, an organization that really hasn't dealt with these types of issues that are presented by maybe particular gene editing, given that that is a much more, so far, appears to be a much more diverse group of organizations that are being able to leverage that technology. Some of those folks may not be yet familiar with some of the best management practices, so this enables that. And then I think lastly, and I think in some ways most interestingly, I think it's going to be a great tool for our employees, right? Uh, I don't know that everybody needs to take it, right? If you've already got somebody that's trained and been worked in your stewardship department for many years, it may not have a huge amount of value, but it does really go back and it starts at the very beginning. I think this is one of the strengths of it. Uh, as we developed PBI, there were, I think, some misperceptions of some in the industry that stewardship is something that we do for agriculture. And that is just fundamentally not true. And so stewardship is something that really any developer of any technology or innovation or product ought to be engaging in at some basic level. I think the level at which you need to engage in stewardship varies depending on your product and your market and things like that. But I think it is fundamental concept, and Priscilla even mentioned, how do I use the concepts of stewardship even in my own life, in my own day-to-day life? So I think it'll be really valuable to our employee bases and to be able to use internally, and that is why the cost structure. I hope Priscilla and uh, Chris went over the cost structure. I hope everybody's we never like to have to spend more money to get something, but we do have to cover our costs in this organization. That's the way that cost structure has been set up, and I think there's great value in it, and I hope you all see that as well. So I'll stop there, turn it back over to our MCs of the call, but really want to say thank you, and I'm very happy that this is coming to fruition. It looks great to me.
Thank you, Scott,
Thank you, Scott.
and thanks to Chris and Priscilla as well. We're happy to take questions. We have plenty of time for it. I do not see any in the chat yet. And there's about 50 of us here. It always makes me a little nervous to say this, but I think it might work out if you want to unmute yourself and ask a question too. And if you don't have a question now, but do later, please contact us, info@gsg.ag. You can also find that contact information on our websites. So do we have any questions? Okay. Well,
So I just want to
yeah.
cover something from an international perspective that we hadn't really covered yet. I kind of alluded to it, but do want to let people know we pride ourselves on being a global organization, and we have a number of resources available in a number of languages. The guides, for example, have been brought to you in Portuguese, Spanish, Chinese, French, and English. So we do foresee the opportunity in this to make it available in other languages as we proceed forward. It won't be that way on January 1st. but we do look for any opportunity we can to provide this in local languages. Again, because we have representative organizations in at least 30 countries around the world, speaking a number of different languages, we do want to take a look at what the priorities are relative to that development over time. So we don't want you to think this is just a US based program or something that will only be available in English. While it will only start that way, we do expect to expand that over time. So I did want to make sure that our international organizations are aware of that opportunity that will be coming as we proceed forward with this.
Okay. Thanks, Chris. And we do have a couple of questions that have come in. Volker Mittendorf has a good question that I'll direct to you, Priscilla. By when do you expect to roll out the intermediate and advanced courses?
Thank you, Volker. That is a great question. So now that we have finalized the fundamentals course, we are going to start developing the intermediate course. So in 2025, we'll start the development of it, and it will take about a year. So in the next year or so, we will have the intermediate course, and after that, we will have the advanced course. So to answer in a short answer, in the course of the next year, we'll have the intermediate, and in the next 2 years, we'll have the advanced course.
Okay, great. Another question from Andrea, which is also a very good question. My company utilizes universities to run studies on regulated material. Would my company purchase licenses and provide to the universities, or would we direct them to GSG to sign up for it themselves since they get the courses for free? And it is no cost to the academic community, so I believe that would be at no cost to the universities. Priscilla, am I?
Sorry, let me just read
Yeah,
it to be
so
sure.
yeah. So
Go ahead, Chris.
yeah, you would certainly can direct them to our the website, and they can register that way.
Okay.
The GSG learning would be for an expanded suite of courses, not just this course, but everything else that we'll make available. So that will be primarily utilized in company or within other partners that you may have. So it's not an academic partner, but somebody else you may be utilizing with. You can purchase the licenses through that, and maybe it's about if it's about learning about the auditing process or learning about these stewardship practices or QMS basics, those kind of things that we have coursework either developed on or are developing on that we're transferring into that type of platform. So yeah, for those when you're utilizing university and academics, we do view that as being something that we'll make available. And then we're using the licenses for that other subset of people who will be taking the course.
Okay, do we have any more questions? Either type them in or go ahead and unmute yourself if you want to ask us directly. Bernard, you have your hand up. Do you have a question?
Yes. Good evening, everyone. My name is Bernard. I work for AATF, the African Agricultural Technology Foundation, and I'm the program officer for product stewardship. So we have about two crop portfolios already commercialized in West Africa, the Tela maize and the PBR cowpea, and it's been a whole lot of stewardship activities for those crops. I can also see some of my teachers. Phil Neff is on the call. Yeah. So I just want to say thank you for making this happen because I've been longing for courses like this because truthfully, we don't have stewardship taught in schools here in Africa, like something you can go get a course. I don't know if that happens abroad, but I think it's a laudable course, and I want to sincerely thank the organizers and the group for making this happen. We're looking forward to the advanced courses because it will really help what we're doing on the ground, because we actually like meeting regulators, we're meeting seed companies, we're meeting farmers on the field, and these are treated products. So we would need all the courses we can ever get to help us, firm up what we're doing. Thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate that comment, Bernard, and I think
Mhm.
you raise a good point. And so, just so you're aware, we really don't see this in coursework anywhere in the world. It's something that's sort of on the job training. So that's kind of why we've developed this, is to give that head start. But I think one of the points too is with the work you're doing at AATF, and a lot of others around the world, is there is a high demand for this type of training. And we also want to get your input on what would be some priorities for additional trainings moving forward too. So, I know, you've got some basic stewardship stuff and you've been doing great work in spreading the message on the importance of stewardship with all the different kind of groups you're meeting to try to get these ideas of these great products from the being ideas to actually being utilized by farmers in the field. So that's one of the things that I want to follow up on this course with everybody who's included on this call and others that we work with, is what are other priority areas that we should be developing additional e-learning coursework on that would be beneficial to the broader industry. So really appreciate those comments, Bernard.
Yeah, thank you so very much. I'm looking forward to the course, but I think I have a lot in my head to ask. But then probably when I take the course, I'll be able to ask all those questions,
Absolutely.
because there's a lot, going on, and there's a lot to clarify. So it's good that it's happening right now and it's timely. We're going to hop on the course and we're going to take the course and see how we can move forward. But very quickly, for me, I think in Nigeria, Ghana, Burkina, where I'm on the ground, um, I think feedback mechanism is somewhat another challenge. Feedback mechanism for
Yeah.
traceability is also a problem because it's a treated product, but having those stewardship statements on the pack, it helps cover that a bit. But feedback, core feedback as to getting this feedback from farmers, from regulators, from government agencies to help you stabilize what you're doing is something that I think I really want to ask more questions about. Yeah, thank
Yeah,
you.
absolutely. Thank you, Bernard.
Thank you, Bernard. And just to piggyback on what Chris said, this is exactly why we're doing what we're doing. So thank you for the community to receive it that way. And if you do have any idea or need that you have for other courses, feel free to use the link that I think David has shared in the chat. So that we have an idea on what needs are and what the community needs. So thank you so much, Bernard. You brought up a great topic.
There was another question that's been asked and answered in the chat, but for everybody's
Okay.
benefit, the question is, will the courses and training be available in Spanish? The answer is yes, but at some point after our launch at an undetermined date. There's some logistics and costs that we have to work through, but yes is the answer to that question. And we'll certainly communicate that when that becomes available in Spanish.
Yes.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, well, if you think of any questions, info@gsg.ag, or visit either our GSG or ETS websites, and there's our contact information is there as well. Owen Volker is asking, could more case studies be made available?
Yeah,
Chris?
that's certainly what the point of sort of this further development is. There'll be a lot of opportunities to develop, again, those things that we think relate directly to real world practices. So, building off what Priscilla's already talked about in the 101 course, we do expect that we'll be able to do that. And also what I alluded to earlier is the whole idea of the blending. There'll be some opportunity, I think, to do sort of group work on cases outside of just kind of the progressing through an e-learning course. We'll also have workshops available to do that kind of have that kind of opportunity as well.
Okay. Well, Thank you all very much
So,
for the.
so real quick,
Oh,
David,
yeah,
I do want to add
sure.
one real quick comment to the case studies.
Yeah.
I agree with everything that's been said, but one thing I do want to share with everybody, right, is that it's fundamental to GSG and our programs that we're not here to be prescriptive, right?
Mhm.
So, and you'll see in the framework of ETS and PBI that those again are frameworks. They're not prescriptive. So just I think recognize, yes, we plan to do more case studies, but they're not going to be uh, if this, then that type of examples. They're going to
Mhm.
be a this is the scenario, these are things you need to consider and think about, but ultimately the outcomes are things that individual organizations need to choose. I do think that's important.
Yeah.
Thank you. Sorry for the interruption.
No problem. Okay, if there are no other comments or questions, I think we will stop there. Thank you for your questions and for joining us today, and thanks to our three presenters. Again, info@gsg.ag to contact us at any time with questions. The link in the chat, stewardshipbestpractices.org, will take you directly to the program page where there's some information, and we'll be there. We continue to add information to that website. And again, this is being recorded, and it will be made available on our websites in the media section under member resources. We'll also send a link to it in the newsletter that's coming out at the end of the month. So again, thank you very much, and we appreciate it and look forward to having you all participate in the program.